Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafarmbureau.org.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all of the wonderful products we enjoy, brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. You can buy organic foods anywhere these days. What leads a farmer to choose organic production, and how can you guarantee that your food is organic? Butterbean season continues in Virginia, and we'll see how they are raised from the ground up. And Virginia is a craft brewery hotspot. Soon more growers may be raising hops in the Old Dominion. Welcome back, everyone. We're here at Bel Air Farms in Albemarle County, and this farm is a certified organic operation. Many consumers are buying organics, but how do you know if what you're purchasing is indeed organic or naturally grown? The USDA National Organic Program defines organic production as produced by farmers who emphasize the use of renewable resources and conservation of soil and water to enhance environmental quality for future generations. Organic meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products come from animals that are given no antibiotics or growth hormones. But how can you guarantee what you're buying is produced organically? It's simple. Look for the seal.
Well, if you see the little seal that says USDA certified organic, then you can put a great deal of trust in that.
Organic production represents a small fraction of the nation's agriculture industry, but it's growing rapidly. Over 31,000 farmers, ranchers, and other businesses receive benefits from the USDA organic certification. Many also receive premium prices for their products through the growing $43 billion U.S. organic retail market. In Virginia, the economic impact of organics is also growing, but at a slower pace.
It's not taking over more traditional methods of farming, but it is the one aspect of agriculture that is growing fairly quickly compared to some of the other more traditional approaches.
While the USDA Organic Seal assures consumers of the quality and integrity of organic products, growers have to wait 3 years after any artificial fertilizers and pesticides are used on their soil before becoming certified. That's why so many producers use similar techniques to grow their food naturally and are not certified as organic producers. But some growers feel it's worth the extra effort. To be certified, growers and handlers submit an organic farm plan or an organic handling plan to a USDA accredited certifying agent detailing their growing and handling methods. Bel Air Farm in Albemarle County is a certified organic farm that is also a community-supported agriculture operation.
They come and they do a whole audit of your business, and they check in all the nooks and crannies. They really want to make sure that you get their stamp, they want to make sure that you're doing it right. And so there's a lot of record keeping involved. There's it's hours and hours of work to get the certification, and it's also a little bit costly. It's a couple $1,000s a year.
Most certified organic farms are considerably smaller than traditional farms. It's all agriculture, but the inputs have changed. Barrett says it is definitely a consumer-driven business plan.
For me, I want to be really confident about the product that I'm selling to my consumer and my community. So I've chosen organic because that's my personal choice about how the food is grown and what we're putting on the food. And for a lot of customers, that's what they want.
Foods currently covered under the current organic standards are fruits and vegetables, including mushrooms, grains, legumes, nuts and seeds, dairy products and eggs, livestock feed, meats, and poultry. Seafood is currently not covered within the regulations. Organically grown foods are just 2% of all the foods purchased in the U.S. Farm economists note that in comparison to conventionally grown foods, organic foods simply cannot reach the same economy of scale. The huge difference in production volume means that organically grown foods cannot compete in price with conventionally grown foods on a nationwide basis. For more information on organic food production, go to the USDA website at usda.gov.
After more than a decade of requests and debate, the U.S. Department of Agriculture implemented a national organic program in 2002. This was to support organic farmers and give consumers confidence when purchasing properly certified organic foods. Before these national standards, consumers had to personally buy from organic growers to be sure that no artificial fertilizers or crop protectants were used. And even then, there had to be a strong element of trust. Once the national standards were in place, organic growers could expand production and sell to national food chains instead of limiting themselves to local markets. Today, most major grocery chains offer some organically raised foods.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about butter beans from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
From our farms to your table. Virginia dairy farm families are dedicated to providing your family with nutritious, high-quality milk.
I'm Dan Myers, a fifth-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I'm Roy Vanderhyde, a first-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I'm Gerald Heatwolf, a third-generation dairy farmer from Virginia.
I am dedicated to dairy, my cows,
My milk,
and our land.
Many of our favorite summer vegetables are still available in the fall. Today, Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension visits a butterbean patch from the ground up.
Well, hi and welcome. Today we're at Matoaka Grown Farms. We're here with the owner, Brian Duell. Brian, thanks for letting us come out here today.
Well, thank you, Chris.
I know you grow a lot of different vegetables, but we're going to talk about butter beans today, or lima beans. Most people in the South call them butter beans. You can plant these pretty much from May on. Is that right?
That's correct. I usually start even as early as April 15th just to try to get an early crop, and the latest I usually plant them is around August 1 to August 10.
Okay, so for a home gardener, they probably want to wait till the last frost, put these in, and they take about 60, 70, 80 days, depending on the variety.
Correct.
To mature. And then they can go into the fall to the frost, right?
Absolutely. Butter beans grow very well all the way up until frost or even after.
Excellent, excellent. So this crop is pretty good. Not a lot of insect and disease problems, but there's one thing I think people have to think about are weeds. You've got a few weeds in this field. What do you do as a commercial grower for the weeds?
I try to do two things. I've tried some chemicals, and I try and do a basic combination of chemicals, and I actually cultivate like the old-fashioned farmer using the tractor and turn hoes and sweeps.
Gotcha. And I notice you've got a cultivating hoe there.
Absolutely.
And that's important because for a home gardener, they're going to get things like nutsedge and grass and pigweed and a lot of these problem weeds in there. And what was your advice? Try to get them as early as possible?
Get them as early as possible, and even for me as a commercial farmer, the cultivation equipment I have does not cultivate between the actual plants. So I actually have to get out here in these couple acres of butter beans and cultivate myself using a hoe.
Now the pods, and these aren't quite ready yet. I know you've got staggered or succession planting going on here, so we've got some flowers here, but some of your field has got pods on them already. When do you decide to harvest, and how do you harvest this commercial field?
I harvest my commercial field actually like I used to harvest my personal field. When I get about 10% of the pods are dry and brown, they're no good anymore. But that means about 90% of all the green pods are full and ready. So when I harvest, I always plant 2 or 3 plantings so I don't need to pick a second planting. And I'll pull the whole plant up, put it in the back of a truck, and then go work in the shade at a picnic table. So I'm not burning up or breaking my back bending over.
That's great. That is great. So when they're ready to harvest, the pods are plump and they're still bright green, right?
Correct.
That's when they know to pull them off the plant. Correct. If they're going to just go through.
If you can feel the bumps inside the bean, the pod, then they're ready.
So now we were talking about deer. Deer can be a real problem. They can chew, when the plants are young, they can chew the seedlings?
They prefer them when they're young. These rows are about 100 yards long. I've come out here and had entire rows missing in one night.
I can see it's a little spotty where when they were young, they nibbled on them and they just haven't been able to fill out yet.
That's correct, or they die.
Yeah, they die. What would you do as a home grower? What kind of things can you do to keep deer away?
As a home grower, there are many remedies. The biggest one is fencing.
Yeah.
Fence needs to be at least 7 or 8 feet tall, though.
Right.
The other thing, I've heard people playing music all night long.
Right.
I've also heard of people going to barber shops and getting hair, Ivory or Irish Spring soap. There's a lot of them. I'm really not sure which one of those actually work, because some of them are urban legends.
Right.
But then there's also a lot of commercial products available.
Right, and those are good. And the fence is a great idea. I like that. Well, for more information on butterbean production, please contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Chef John Maxwell shows us his recipe for hot collared slaw next in the heart of the home.
Collard greens, or collards, are part of the Brassica oleaceae family, which also includes kale and spring greens. As such, they are very cold hardy and make a great late fall or early spring crop. Many chefs prefer to cook collards after they've been through a frost or two, saying they taste sweeter. They're also considered a health food with the ability to lower cholesterol levels. They are very low-calorie vegetables with extremely high levels of vitamins K, A, and C, along with manganese, fiber, and calcium. Collards are one of several green vegetables that are now popular in health food smoothies.
Collards are a popular dish during this time of the year. Today, Chef John Maxwell shows us how to make a collard slaw in the heart of the home.
Hi, welcome to Chef Maxwell's Kitchen at the heart of the home in Meadow Hall at Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia. Every week we get together and play with great Virginia food and make recipes in our kitchen that you can make in yours. Today we're playing with collards, one of my favorite vegetables, a good southern staple. And what I've got over here, which you're here singing to me, is some bacon. We got some good Virginia bacon. So I've got this bacon. Now I'm going to want to get it crispy, but I don't want it to burn. So I don't want any little bits down at the bottom. So the first thing I did was oil the pan a little bit so the bacon wouldn't stick and cause that to burn. Right? And now I'm cooking it at a relatively low heat. I'm not cooking it very, very hot. Right? So it renders out, so I get to use the bacon fat. I've got some shallots here that I've diced up nice and small. Right? And a shallot is a small onion-like vegetable. Right? It's got a nice nutty flavor, so it's a little bit more sophisticated than a traditional onion. And I'm just going to cut straight through it. It's layered like an onion, so I don't have to do an awful lot of chopping. And just cross-cut it now, and it just falls apart into its little pieces. Right? And so I've got some shallots. I'm going to do the same thing with an onion. And this is how you cut an onion without crying. You do it fast. So there we got a nice diced onion. It didn't take any time at all because we used the onion's own body shape, so to speak. All right, so now we're over here where you see this is starting to crisp. All right, it's starting to turn brown. This is a good, big, mature collard leaf. And I'm going to peel the big stem off of it. And these have been washed nicely so we get any sand or dirt off of them. And we're just pulling this main rib out of it. So what we wind up with is a collard with kind of like a V shape in the middle. All right, I'm going to lay that down here. And I've got some that I've already done. All right, I'm going to lay all these together. And we're going to do a cut that's called a chiffonade. I've got the bacon browned off, right, and I'm leaving the bacon fat on the fire, and I'm getting ready to chiffonade these. Meanwhile, though, I'm going to throw my whole garlic cloves into the bacon fat. I've taken the stems off all of them, and I'm going to roll them up. All right. And now I'm going to cut them into little ribbons, which are called a chiffonade. And just get them all nice and even. Now this is a collared slaw, which is why I'm cutting them into these little ribbon shapes. Right? And I'm going to get the garlic. What I'm doing with the garlic is I'm going to brown it off. Now, most of the time when you've used garlic, I'm sure, like most people, you've chopped the raw garlic and thrown it into your recipe. Well, I like the taste of roasted garlic. It's nuttier, it's sweeter, it doesn't have that heat to it. And sometimes it's what I want on my recipe. And this is one of those times where I don't want the heat. I've got hot bacon fat over there. I got browned off bacon bits. And I got my chiffonade of collards. And now I'm going to add some mustard seed. I'm going to toast that off just a little bit. All right. Just a little bit. Woo, spitting at me, you can see that. Well, that's because it's hot and the moisture is in there. And I'm going to throw in some of the shallot. All right. That'll lower the temperature of the fat when I do that. Now I'm going to add some onion. All right. And stir this around. Right. We're going to let that sweat a little bit. You can see how complicated this recipe is. So we're going to throw the collards in. Right. And begin to turn that on so it all gets coated with the fat. And since these are cut really small, you're not going to have the same problem with toughness with collards that has caused people over the years to think you have to cook collards for a long time in order to make them good. We're just cooking these very lightly, and they'll be nice and tender. I'm going to add a little bit of vinegar and a little bit of apple juice. All right. Now I'm going to spin this around. We're going to reduce this down just a little bit, but we don't want to overcook it. We don't want the collards to start turning color. Now these are ready to go. So I'm going to take some bacon, toss it in there. Now I'm going to take this out. Get a little bit of this stuff and put it in on top. Now I like to take a little bit of the crispy bacon and put it on the top. All right. So there we've got collard slaw. It's beautiful, it's tasty, and it's easy. We'll see you next time when we're back here at Chef Maxwell's Kitchen in Meadow Event Park for another great Virginia recipe.
Recipes from the heart of the home can be found on Chef Maxwell's website, chefjohnmaxwell.com. The Meadow Event Park, the State Fair of Virginia, birthplace of Secretariat, America's greatest racehorse. All these titles apply to the Meadow, the former horse breeding farm in Caroline County, Virginia that was established in 1936 by Christopher Chenery and acquired in 2013 by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Today, the property's 331 acres represent one of the Mid-Atlantic's most beautiful and versatile multi-purpose facilities, with a 63,000 square foot exhibition hall, beautiful meadow hall, and ample equine and livestock facilities, plus acres and acres of outdoor space. The property hosts 3 signature events: the annual State Fair of Virginia, Illuminate Light Show, and the Virginia Horse Festival. The State Fair of Virginia is known for its family-friendly atmosphere, exciting attractions, and of course, fabulous fair food. The most important focus continues to be youth and adult livestock competitions, and dozens of competitions where other Virginians can win a coveted State Fair blue ribbon. Everything from prize vegetables to baked goods to crafts and photography are featured each year as the best of the best. In 2015, the Sale of Champions Youth Livestock Auction was revived and is bringing thousands of dollars in new youth scholarships to participants. Each fall, young people from all over Virginia earn money for college by showing livestock at the fair. The State Fair of Virginia and other rural events are a great way for the Virginia Farm Bureau to share the importance of agriculture with the non-farming public. And the beautiful grounds reflect the history and tradition of excellence begun when Secretariat was born here. You can learn more about the Meadow Event Park and events and facilities at meadoweventpark.com.
Virginia has been experiencing a craft beer revolution in recent years. Dave Miller reports that researchers are helping farmers grow a key ingredient for beer right here in the Old Dominion.
Free workshops on a wide number of agricultural topics are held every year at Virginia State University's Randolph Farm. But this summer, a new research plot close to the VSU water tower got the most attention. Farmers, researchers, and beer brewers stopped by to learn more about the possible new business opportunity: how to grow local hops.
Growers are actually learning more about what the brewers' needs are, and in turn, brewers in the state want to get local ingredients. Everybody wants Virginia beer right now in Virginia.
Most of the hops used in American beer are grown in the Pacific Northwest, but that could change soon. For the past 2 years, VSU has been researching what it takes to successfully grow hops in Virginia. This past summer, participants examined hop varieties that were planted a year earlier, but there was also a lot of networking.
A lot of it in the first couple years of the Virginia hops movement has been building awareness. So we had a lot of brewers that were kind of curious, knew hops could be done here, but hadn't had a chance yet to meet all the growers we have. With time, we found that pretty much every brewer out there knows that we grow hops in Virginia, and a lot of them actually have relationships with hop growers. So we have a lot of brewers out there that want to make special and unique beers, so it only makes sense to go out and find those products from our special and unique growers that we have here in Virginia.
Some of the hops varieties VSU researchers have studied include Centennial, Nugget, Zeus, Cascade, Newport, Mount Hood, Willamette, and Chinook. Hops grow to a height of 15 to 20 feet in Virginia and can be grown on as little as 1/3 to 1/2 acre.
Well, the opportunities right now for the beekeepers, the fruit growers, the grain growers, and the hop growers are huge, because a lot of those ingredients, all of them are used in the process of making beer. I use honey in a lot of my recipes. I try to release a fruit beer every week.
Only female hop plants bearing flowering fruit are harvested. Hop plants can live to be 25 years old and produce best after their first season. 3 types of hops are generally taken to market: raw green fresh hops, dried hops, and pelletized hops.
The brewers have had to educate us about what they're looking for. They have quality standards they have to meet. They have price points they have to meet. So they're looking for those things from the growers, so they tell us what they're interested in, and we work with them accordingly. We help them have a good understanding of what grows well here, what we can and can't do. You know, we can't grow every variety here that they may wish they could get, and they understand that. So the brewers do seem excited. They have different preferences, so we've learned you have to kind of work with your people on what they would like. Some of our brewers are really excited about using wet or fresh hops in their beers. They're equipped to do that, and they have ideas for that. We have other brewers that are really excited about getting pellets and options to get pellets one day from Virginia growers.
Growing conditions in Virginia differ a lot from the Pacific Northwest, so it's important to learn the best methods for local production. And it can cost from $12,000 to $15,000 an acre to start a hop plantation. So while the market for locally grown hops is booming, there are still a lot of things to consider and learn before hopping into this niche market. At Virginia State University in Chesterfield County, this is Dave Miller.
That's going to do it for this edition of Real Virginia. We are so glad you could join us to celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. Whether it's in your home, your garden, or your landscape, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a good week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.